Operation Market Garden was supposed to be a bold masterstroke to end World War II by Christmas 1944. Instead, it became one of the most controversial failures of the Allied campaign. Allied leaders, confident in their plan, launched the largest airborne assault in history, but their overconfidence and miscalculations led to disastrous consequences. Brigadier General James M. Gavin later likened the planning to a mere training exercise, far removed from the brutal realities of combat. The elite paratroopers descended into a nightmare, greeted not with an easy victory, but with the laughter of German soldiers who saw them as sheep being fed to the lions. What followed was a tragic and costly failure. Nearly 17,000 casualties, almost half of the forces deployed. The ambitious operation, envisioned as a swift strike into Nazi Germany, instead ended in carnage, raising uncomfortable questions about whether the Allies had gambled recklessly with the lives of their soldiers. Operation Market Garden stands as a stark reminder of the perils of military overreach and the devastating cost of miscalculation in war. In September 1944, the Allies were riding the momentum of their successful summer campaigns, having liberated Paris and pushed the German forces back toward their homeland. However, the rapid advance came with a critical problem. The Allied armies were outrunning their supply lines, stretching resources thin across Europe. Faced with logistical bottlenecks and the heavily fortified German Siegfried Line, the Allies needed a bold strategy to break into the heart of Nazi Germany. Operation Market Garden was the result of this strategic need, envisioned as a rapid thrust to end the war by Christmas 1944. Operation Market Garden originated as an expansion of Operation Comet, an earlier, more limited plan proposed by British Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery. While Montgomery was a key advocate for the operation, the detailed planning and execution were the responsibility of the 1st Allied Airborne Army, commanded by Lieutenant General Lewis H. Brereton. The operation was also approved and supported by General Dwight D. Eisenhower's Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Force, SHAEF. The plan aimed to outflank the German Siegfried Line by using airborne forces to secure a series of critical bridges across the Netherlands, enabling a swift armored advance into Germany's industrial heartland. The plan comprised two distinct phases: Market, the airborne component, which involved dropping 3 Allied airborne divisions behind enemy lines to seize key bridges in the Netherlands. Garden, the ground component, which called for the British X6 Corps to advance along a narrow corridor through these captured bridges and link up with the airborne forces. By capturing the bridges over the Maas, Waal, and Rhine rivers, the Allies hoped to secure a clear path for an armored thrust into the Ruhr, Germany's industrial heartland. The operation was audacious in scope, relying on surprise, rapid execution, and the assumption that German resistance would be light. On September 17, 1944, Operation Market Garden began, marking the largest airborne operation in history. Over 34,000 paratroopers descended on a 64-mile corridor stretching from Eindhoven to Arnhem. The operation had 2 main phases: Market, the airborne assault aimed at seizing key bridges, and Garden, the ground advance by the British XXX Corps. The Germans were not caught as off guard as the Allies had hoped. In fact, as Allied paratroopers descended into the Netherlands, German soldiers reportedly laughed at the sight. They viewed the mass of descending paratroopers as sheep being fed to the lions, an ominous indicator of the brutal resistance the Allies would face. The presence of the 9th and 10th SS Panzer Divisions in the region further ensured that the Allied troops would not have the element of surprise on their side. What was intended to be a quick and daring strike into the heart of Nazi-occupied territory turned into a protracted and bloody struggle. The 101st Airborne Division, known as the Screaming Eagles, was tasked with securing the southernmost bridges at Eindhoven, Son, and Veghel. These bridges were essential for the initial advance of XXX Corps. Despite facing immediate resistance, the paratroopers managed to capture some of these vital crossings, although the bridge at Son was destroyed by the Germans just as they approached. In the center of the operation was the 82nd Airborne Division, or the All-Americans, who faced the challenging task of capturing the bridges at Nijmegen and Grave, while securing the high ground near Groesbeek. This position was crucial for controlling the corridor and allowing British armor to move north. The 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment was dropped near Grave and quickly moved to secure the Waal River Bridge. Meanwhile, the 505th and 508th Regiments landed near Groesbeek, preparing for the difficult assault on the heavily defended Waal River Bridge at Nijmegen. To the north, the British 1st Airborne Division and the 1st Polish Independent Parachute Brigade were tasked with capturing the bridge at Arnhem, the final crossing into Germany. Dropping near Oosterbeek and Driel, they encountered fierce resistance in their effort to secure this critical objective. The Polish brigade, facing delays due to weather conditions, finally dropped near Driel on September 21st, arriving too late to alter the outcome decisively. This delay contributed to the isolation of British forces at Arnhem, leading to their eventual encirclement and defeat. As the airborne forces fought for the bridges, the British XXX Corps, led by Lieutenant General Brian Horrocks, began their ground advance from the Belgian-Dutch border. They were to quickly link up with the 101st at Eindhoven, reinforce the 82nd at Nijmegen, and push towards Arnhem to relieve the British 1st Airborne Division. The plan allowed only 4 days to reach Arnhem, requiring perfect coordination between the airborne and ground forces, a coordination that proved to be overly optimistic in the face of staunch German resistance. As the 82nd Airborne Division, led by Brigadier General James M. Gavin, descended into their designated drop zones on September 17th, they faced immediate challenges. The 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment quickly moved to secure the Waal River Bridge at Grave, encountering scattered resistance, but successfully taking this crucial crossing. Meanwhile, the 505th and 508th Parachute Infantry Regiments landed near Groesbeek, preparing for the difficult assault on the heavily defended Waal River Bridge at Nijmegen. The Germans, understanding the strategic significance of this crossing, had fortified the area with elements of the 9th and 10th SS Panzer Divisions, setting the stage for a fierce and prolonged battle. In the days following the drop, the 82nd Airborne engaged in some of the most intense combat of the operation. They dug in around Nijmegen, fully aware that holding the city and its bridges was vital. On September 18th, German forces launched repeated counterattacks to dislodge the paratroopers and prevent the British XXX Corps from advancing. Despite facing a well-prepared enemy, the 82nd fought tenaciously. Battery B of the 376th Parachute Field Artillery Battalion played a crucial role in repelling a series of armored attacks, knocking out several German tanks and providing essential support to the infantry. One of the most decisive moments came on September 20th, when Gavin devised a daring plan to take the Nijmegen Bridge. Under fire and using canvas boats, the 504th crossed the Waal River in an audacious assault known as the Waal River Crossing. Despite facing murderous German machine gun and artillery fire, the paratroopers paddled across the river. Many boats were destroyed before reaching the opposite shore, resulting in heavy casualties. Yet the surviving paratroopers stormed the German defenses on the northern bank, securing a foothold. Simultaneously, British Grenadier Guards launched a bayonet charge to seize the northern end of the bridge. After intense and brutal fighting, the combined Allied forces captured the Nijmegen Bridge, but at a staggering cost in lives. The capture of the Nijmegen Bridge was a turning point, but it did not end the struggle for the 82nd Airborne. In the days that followed, German forces launched relentless counterattacks to recapture the bridge and sever the Allied corridor. The 82nd faced some of the heaviest fighting of the entire operation as German tanks and infantry assaulted their positions around Nijmegen. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, the paratroopers held their ground. The 376th Parachute Field Artillery Battalion, despite suffering from supply shortages and facing intense enemy fire, continued to provide crucial support, repelling multiple German armored thrusts. Elements of the British Guards Armored Division arrived to bolster the defenses, but even with this support, the fighting was fierce and the outcome uncertain. The paratroopers' heroism was evident in every engagement. Men like Private First Class Thomas J. Blakey of the 505th, who braved enemy fire to secure key positions, exemplified the division's fighting spirit. On September 21st, the Germans launched a concerted effort to cut the Allied corridor. In one sector, German infantry and tanks managed to briefly sever the route, isolating some of the 82nd's units. However, through a combination of sheer tenacity and timely reinforcements, the paratroopers fought back, re-establishing the corridor and preventing a complete collapse of the operation. Among the countless stories of bravery, the sacrifice of Lieutenant John R. Towle stands out as a testament to the courage and selflessness that defined the paratroopers of the 82nd. On September 21, 1944, as German forces launched a desperate counterattack near Nijmegen, Towle single-handedly took action against advancing enemy tanks and infantry. Armed with a bazooka, he moved forward on his own initiative, under intense fire, to confront the enemy head-on. In a series of daring maneuvers, he destroyed 2 German tanks and silenced a house that was being used as a strongpoint by enemy soldiers. Despite the incredible danger, Towle continued his assault, attempting to halt the enemy's advance. It was during this valiant effort that he was mortally wounded by enemy mortar fire. For his heroism, Lieutenant John R. Towle was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. While the fighting around Nijmegen was fierce, the critical failure of Operation Market Garden unfolded at Arnhem. The British 1st Airborne Division, tasked with capturing the bridge at Arnhem, faced fierce German resistance from the moment they landed. Their drop zones were farther from the bridge than anticipated, forcing them to traverse a landscape fraught with enemy troops. Elements of the 9th and 10th SS Panzer Divisions had been refitting in the area and quickly mobilized to counter the British assault. Despite initial successes, including securing the northern end of the Arnhem Bridge, the British paratroopers were soon surrounded. Communication breakdowns, logistical issues, and the delayed arrival of reinforcements from the Polish brigade further compounded their isolation. For days, the British 1st Airborne fought tenaciously in and around Arnhem, but they were gradually encircled and pushed back into a small pocket around Oosterbeek. Lacking adequate supplies, ammunition, and reinforcements, their position became untenable. The final blow came as the British XXX Corps, delayed by fierce German resistance and logistical difficulties, failed to reach Arnhem in time. On September 25, 1944, the order was given to withdraw. In a daring nighttime evacuation across the Rhine, some survivors managed to escape, but the majority of the British 1st Airborne Division was either killed, wounded, or captured. Of the approximately 10,000 British paratroopers dropped into Arnhem, less than 2,000 returned to Allied lines. The soldiers of the 82nd Airborne found themselves in a nightmare scenario, outnumbered, surrounded, and forced to hold vital ground against a determined and well-equipped enemy. While German Field Marshal Walter Model is often associated with the phrase, "sheep being fed to the lions," it accurately reflects the perilous situation faced by the paratroopers during the intense fighting. Despite the courage and determination of the 82nd, the British 1st Airborne, the Polish Brigade, and their supporting units, the cost of Operation Market Garden was staggering. By the operation's end, the Allies suffered 17,000 casualties, with the 82nd Airborne alone incurring over 1,400 losses. The failure to secure the bridge at Arnhem meant that the broader objective of outflanking the Siegfried Line and ending the war by Christmas was unachievable. The paratroopers' sacrifice, however, had not been in vain. They had bought time and prevented a larger encirclement of Allied forces. Operation Market Garden ended in failure, with the Allies unable to secure the bridge at Arnhem and achieve their ambitious strategic goals. However, the fierce defense of Nijmegen and the Waal River Bridge prevented a complete disaster. The 82nd Airborne Division, the British forces, and the Polish paratroopers managed to hold key positions against overwhelming odds, showcasing extraordinary bravery and resilience. Their actions ensured that their legacy would be one of valor and sacrifice, even if they were, as the Germans called them, sheep fed to the lions. The legacy of the men who fought in Operation Market Garden, including heroes like Lieutenant John R. Towle, is a tribute to the extraordinary valor displayed during those crucial days in September 1944.